Okay, what kind of products and services are these companies that are talking to you? What's the range of their products and services, and what number of jobs are they potentially looking to create?
Well, Ken and I recently met with an avionics manufacturer that would be something like, help me out, I can't remember, 20? 50.
50.
They would employ 50 here?
Yes.
Yeah. That was a very preliminary visit. We have a company that makes a highway repair product. Would probably be maybe 10 people. Been talking to a fiberglass recycling outfit. Probably be just a couple of people initially.
Right.
Talked with a company that does another highway product. We've had a data center through town talking with us.
When you say data center, is that a storage facility? Like the one they've got in Vegas?
No, it's really, well, there is some storage, but it's, they market to the gaming industry. They produce statistical information for that industry.
Do any of these businesses require government subsidies?
Not at this point.
They're all private industries?
Right.
Okay.
Yeah. Then we think what's more likely to happen is that they're going to require some assistance getting through the permitting and licensing and so on.
Can they utilize existing businesses or buildings, or are they looking to build new facilities?
Some of both.
Okay.
We don't, as you probably know, we don't have a great inventory of existing buildings, which we've discovered. And by the way, one of the relationships that we've worked on is with the Mesquite Realtors Association. We've set up an arrangement with the multi-list so that when we have somebody in town, and we've done this, we've used this once, where we said we've got a company that's looking for X, X amount of space and so on, lease, buy, such and such parking, etc. And we post that on the multi-list website. We've had a little bit of response, not a lot yet, but as we've tried to show properties and bring the realtors with us so they can get us in and whatnot, it's pretty limited inventory. And at some point, you like to think you're going to get to the point where you might even have a spec building in town, but in this economy, I don't think that's going to happen anytime soon.
Well, there are several empty buildings, especially over in the MTCC.
Right.
The huge
Yep.
building that was built on spec and never used.
Right. And we've shown that building 3 times that I can think of. It's still tied up in financial stuff, bankruptcy and so on. It's my understanding, at least. We've been through the Capitol Lumber Building 3 or 4 times. When a company walks into town, you're not likely to just have a building that's going to fit. In the meeting yesterday, they talked about companies that were looking in Vegas, and one of them was looking for, let's see, 500,000 square feet. One of them was looking with 100 megawatts of power on 50 to 100 acres. Not likely to be fitting here. We'd frankly love to have somebody come and build a building, because we do have the land, and I think that's a lot of what we're going to have to market in the future.
Are you offering the city land as an incentive?
Not initially. I'd rather see some private owners sell some of that land.
You won't be working exclusively with one real estate company, will you?
No. No, that's why we did the arrangement with multi-list. And while I'm at that, let me we say, we've talked with Dan about the fact that if we get a company that needs financing, we'll put a proposal together in a package and shop it to all the banks. We can't just because we're here, we can't just do business with one entity, so we're trying to spread our business around.
But Dan was a good way of it.
In your presentation here, you talked about that you would be doing the due diligence on these potential businesses and taking that to the city council. What do you see as due diligence? Are you gonna be the city's gatekeeper as far as these new businesses coming into town?
I don't know that I'd call it gatekeeper, but the state has some incentives, for example, the city has to sign off on. And what I would envision as due diligence would be, if we had a company that came in that wanted to apply for some state incentives, we would take a look at their financials and make sure that it's a real company and that they're viable and they've got some financial capacity, and make sure that they're a real business, have sales and whatnot, before we approach the city council and say, gee, you know, we need to have you sign off on this to send it forward, or you know, at some point, we'd like to have a conversation with the city council about what incentives we might offer. I don't know if you all have read, been a big flap recently in the economic development world because the New York Times did a major review of economic incentives
Yeah, how bad are they?
around the country and whether they're effective or not. And, you know, that's a long-standing debate in the economic development world. Everybody hates it and everybody does it.
Nevada right now has their own with Apple.
Yeah, absolutely.
The money you spoke of earlier from the fundraisers that the organization in Las Vegas intends to try to raise,
Mhm.
are any of those funds a potential source for Mesquite?
No, not that particular source.
Okay.
You also talked about that, I wanted to know what the new opportunities are that you see that are available through the Regional Economic Development Council. Is that just the fact that you're gonna piggyback on to what they're doing?
Mhm. Primarily.
So it's the scraps if they throw them this way.
Well, it's not just scraps, it's anybody that walks in that doesn't want to be in Vegas.
But wants to be in southern Nevada.
Right.
And when you say Vegas, you're talking about the greater metropolitan area?
Yeah,
Clark County.
all the communities.
I mean, that's kind of,
Clark County.
that's why the name is being looked at.
Right.
Yeah, we've had a direct conversation with Tom Skanke, who's the new director of that organization in Las Vegas, and we gave him a hard time about calling it the Las Vegas whatever, and he laughed and he said, well, you know, Las Vegas has spent years and billions of dollars building that name recognition, and it's likely to have the name Las Vegas in it, but I guarantee you that we will have some subsections that will deal with Mesquite and other smaller communities, because also, you know, they're working with Boulder and Laughlin and Searchlight and so on. There are several other smaller communities in Clark County that you don't think of when you just think Las Vegas.
Now, how are you funding this besides money from the city of Mesquite?
Well, initially, we've funded it out of our pockets.
What exactly have you funded out of your pockets?
Well, we did all the startup money to date, all the seed money. Opened a bank account. Ken and I have been in California. We go down to Vegas,
Regularly.
our cars.
Is that it? Does the city reimburse you for those trips?
No,
You pay for those trips out of your own pocket?
right. We have just made the first draw on the city agreement. And the budget calls for us to raise money along with getting public money.
So how much public money do you get? What's your?
The first draw was $20,000, and the council will sign off, hopefully, on an additional 75. The budget is $95,000 between January and June,
The end of June.
the end of June, right?
And then do you have to participate in the budget process in May to try to secure more funds from the city in the upcoming fiscal year budget?
Yes. Part of why we want to get all of the terms of our agreement met, so we have the website up and the strategic plan in place and the budget in place and so on.
I don't understand a first draw, so you just got 20 grand,
Right.
$20,000.
Right.
And that's of the 95,000 that you're
Yes.
due from January to July 1, if you will.
Right.
And so you're still looking for $75,000 from the city. Are they gonna dole that out to you, or?
Well, they won't dole it out. The agreement calls for semi-annual payments. We needed cash because we have gain coming on. We're gonna start accumulating more expense than we can pay out of our pockets. So we approached the city and got an agreement that they would break it up because the council has to sign off on amounts over 25,000. So we asked for 20 to do immediate expenses, and then when the council goes to the next meeting and the second meeting in February, that hopefully they'll have an invoice for 75,000.
How many paid employees will be on in just one?
One start.
And what is she
Yes.
being paid? What's the salary for that position? That's your head person, right? What's
Mhm.
the title?
She's CEO.
While you're looking for that, maybe
Yeah.
some of the other board members can answer my question about where you hope to find private sources of funding. Maybe some of the other board members can answer that while you're looking for the other.
Figures $87,380.
That's yearly.
Right.
87,000?
380.
So she would be due half that,
No,
or
no,
two-thirds?
we'll pay her monthly.
She'll get paid.
Okay.
But we're gonna have startup expenses in the office. We've gotta buy equipment and so on.
And how do you spell her name?
Gaye, Stockman, Stockman.
Mrbi, Wyoming.
Okay, now can you answer where you hope to find some of the private sources of funding?
Yeah, from entities that we think of as partners, and the hospital, power district, water district, companies that actually come and locate.
What about companies already here?
Some of them may be participants, but we've tried to stay away, as I think you all know, we've tried very hard to not impact the chamber. So,
I'm gonna get to that question.
Yeah, we're not gonna be out trying to talk to chamber members and hit them twice.
So you're trying to get money from the hospital, the power district, and what was the other areas?
The water district.
The water district.
Companies,
To benefit
typically,
from-
the way that you fund economic development organizations is from companies and organizations that benefit from growth. So those are the ones we want to, and from the companies that benefit from being here, so. Banks are usually big participants in economic development programs, I don't know. We haven't figured out yet what the.
But you've approached
160
these,
fees.
you've approached the hospital and the others.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.